Hey, welcome back. We've got a pen here in from Kustoms. I always have to be a little careful now that they've sort of divested part of what they're doing into everyday Kara's. If you're not familiar, that is a super budget brand. Kara's is already doing amazing pricing for what they do, but Kara's Pen Co., based out of Arizona, made in Mesa, they do this pen called the Retrakt, and it's actually kind of hard to find on their website. I'll make sure and link that for you. But a trusted community member said I should check this out because it's one of their favorite pens, and I'm going to. We'll go ahead and compare that to some other pens that they have produced over time. They do some really cool pens. One of my favorite sort of steampunk style pens is their Bolt pen, which they do a bunch of different versions of this. It's super smooth and pretty fidgety. Not for everyone on the style or on the grip, but a really neat pen. I'll leave this out here. So let's see how this stacks up. This is an aluminum body, very inexpensive for what it is. This is a $50 price point. Very smooth on the threads taking it apart. It takes a full-size GT refill. Looks like a pretty standard spring there. Not anything crazy so far. The click action felt good right out of the box, very smooth. Kind of hear like the machining in there. I kind of wonder if they were to stonewash some of these parts, if it would be even smoother. I don't really know how this mech works, or if you can disassemble that. I'd imagine you probably take off the clip or something. It looks pretty basic looking into the bottom there. You can kind of see the mech going up and down, doing its thing. But it works well so far. Let's see if we can force a failure. I've seen a lot of click pen mechs, and a lot of them fail very consistently. So 1, 2 is going to tell us if it fails or not. Okay, looking good so far. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So very consistent click action there. See if there's anything interesting here. I think we just got a sticker. Pretty basic on their box, right? This is $50 shipped. They include shipping in the price. I just paid $50 on one of my Magnus pens for tariffs this week. Gosh darn. So I could have bought a pen instead. So let's go ahead and write with this really quickly. I've been doing some testing of different pens this week. Let me get some of this stuff off of here. So you'll see some of that here. And we'll see if we feel any tip wiggle. This is the Kara's. Ooh, I think they might use a 0.5 on that refill. Sorry, I'm going to nerd out really quickly and see if I can tell really quickly. Yeah, that's a size. Most pens, for whatever reason, ship with a 0.7. I don't know if the companies think it feels more luxurious or something when you have a big thick refill in there, but I'm a big fan of the 0.5. So Kara's Retrakt, it's spelled kind of interesting here with a K. Any wiggle? Sometimes you have to get the pen a little more vertical to simulate wiggle, depending on how people write. Testing 1, 2, and sorry, I'm sitting at a very poor angle right now, so my handwriting is not going to be great. Not that it ever is, but it can be better than this. And I don't feel any tip wiggle on there. Oh, that one hasn't even been used. So let's see if we can find one that has from the Everyday Kara's gang here. Nope, that one hasn't either. So I think these were 2 of the original models or something, and I just kind of kept them around as collectors. $29 shipped for these. These went for closer to like $100, I think, for this titanium version, maybe $70 for their aluminum. Their website's a little funny. You can get these in like a brass or a copper, ranging from $90 to $100 something dollars. Maybe it's $120 or something for these titanium ones. They don't really make these very often, unfortunately. I don't see them like readily available on here. Like their limited release looks like it's built on aluminum. And you just don't see them do a lot of titanium over there for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a machining thing or what. But they're a little funny. Their website's a little funny. It's kind of hard to like find these Retrakt pens on there. I thought they were out of stock. If you go to the Retrakt drop down, all you see is this Prospector $85 version. Looks like it has like a brass bottom and maybe an anodized aluminum top. But if you actually go in the search bar and you search Retrakt, you will find that they have these other ones, and they have black, I think red, a couple different Cerakote or like finish colors that are available, anodization colors on them. So the cool thing about their aluminum, I'll say like this versus this one, this doesn't feel like aluminum to me as much. Like this feels pretty close to titanium in terms of the finish. This is like a really kind of clear to me that it's aluminum for some reason. Sometimes you can't really, until you click it, then it does sort of feel a little more aluminum, or sound a little more aluminum. Titanium just has a little bit more of a snap, and aluminum a little more hollow, clicky sounding. But yeah, I see why he likes it. I think from a value perspective, if you're into click pens, you got a reliable clicker as far as I can tell. I haven't gotten to cycle this 1,000 times or anything like that, but we've probably done this, already like 100 times? And I have not discerned a failure so far. I'm sure if you do what I just did there and you kind of short push it, then maybe you get a failure. I'm not a big fan of this like style. I don't like how far out that has to stick. I wish the plunger was like right up against this part. I don't like this style of plunger. I've seen this on a few manufacturers. I think the Right Choice Paint Company uses this same thing. So I don't know if, let me see if I can find out really quickly on their webpage if this is like a certain brand of clicker. If it says on here, Retract's our standard size, rollerball or ballpoint, you choose. I didn't realize that. Purchase. I don't know if I remember that, but you can actually choose your refill at the purchase time. We've updated the internal design by adding our new and improved O-ring technology that keeps the pen from coming unscrewed in your pocket. We've added our purpose-built stainless steel click mechanism. So it sounds like they built it in-house to bring the entire pen together. This pocket clip, by the way, is tight, and the pen's nice and light, so I don't feel it at all in my pocket. That is a nice, as this sort of bent style goes, that's about as good as I felt as a steel pocket clip, nice and solid. Clip mechanism to bring the entire pen together, available in our two-tone throwback color scheme, along with all black and all silver anodized aluminum, machine brass, and machine copper. I think this would be really nice in brass. I'm not a big copper fan. Designed to maximize the functionality of the Pilot G2 refill, a nearly indestructible body, the Retrakt provide native use for most 110 millimeter Euro style refills. It says that the weight here is for the aluminum 0.97 ounces. Let's see if we can validate that really quickly. Put your money where your mouth is. Pretty darn close. My weight, my scale, you never know. Like, let's re-zero it and see if we get a different result. I'm showing a little more than that, but pretty darn close. That's within tolerance. Body width of 0.39, which probably why I'm enjoying it so much in hand now. It'd be nice if you had some rings up there, a little bit of grip like they've done on some of these everyday cares. I still don't know why they divested. Maybe the people or the machinery or whatever. Not divested, that's probably not the right term, but why they have two separate websites. Although I'll say this Kara's Kustoms website is not amazing, so maybe just trying to start from the beginning again. Now, when I got it, it said $50. It says $70/$50. So I don't know if it's normally $70 or what the story is on their pricing. It's available right now in violet, silver, blue, and black. It says Retrakt V2 in black. That's interesting. I wonder if the one I have here is not a V2. I wonder if it's for some reason or somehow a V1, but I don't know what the difference is. So it's a nice pen though. I'm impressed. I've got a video coming up, which is why I've been taking feedback on pens I'll do for reviews, and I've been looking for, pens to consider for this top 10 list, which I'm now probably expanding beyond top 10. I just don't think that's going to work anymore for me this year. And this was one of the ones that was mentioned. So I got to think a little bit about, does this really, I mean, as clicker pens go, I like it more than a lot of the ones I've handled. But is it really that level? 50 bucks, you don't have to worry about losing it. That's pretty cool, I have to say. That is a pretty nice thing to consider. So the value is really strong with this brand. It is pretty unprecedented what they're doing from a value perspective. But they're not like you get them and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like this is a luxury vehicle. Compare that to, for example, like a Magnus, and you're just like, this thing in hand feels like it was, you know, there's a reason I paid that much in tariffs willingly. Not wantingly, but willingly. Because this is just a phenomenal pen all around. So I'm not saying that this would be at the top of the list, but should it be on the list? That's really the question that I'm kind of asking here. See if we can glean anything else here. You know, you could probably switch out the refill if you wanted to have a slightly different feel on the clicker. I don't know how that would affect things. I could try and throw something in there really quickly live. This doesn't tend to be the most invigorating thing to watch live, unfortunately, but let's see if we can pull it off this time. This tends to be a size that fits on many pens when they're G2. And this would make it a little lighter, I think, than what it shipped with. That one doesn't cycle, unfortunately. I think it needs to be thinner if I'm seeing it right. So we're not going to do any more than that today. I just went down a rabbit hole on the tactile Ternanzo pen video, and let's call it. Overall, it's pretty much what I expected it to be, having handled the similar style pen from the Right Choice Paint Company with a very similar looking mech. I don't know if the Right Choice Paint Company uses these guys' mech or what, or if anyone, you know, if that's like an open source or whatever. Anyways, it reminds me a lot of the Modal. The Modal is kind of their flagship bolt pen from Kara's Kustoms, not from everyday Kara's, but Kara's Kustoms. It has a very similar feel where it's, you know, just nice, but doesn't get you going emotionally as much. But this would be a solid pen for doing the job, as long as you're not in a situation where your hands are getting sweaty, because it is slightly tapered down. So it runs from 0.437 in the maximum up here down to 0.39. And when it's tapered in that direction, you do have a slipping, you know, that's going to force you to slip down towards the smaller area, right? Just physics. So, you know, you could give yourself a little grip with some filing or whatever. And if you're into that kind of thing, it could be very easily customizable and take a $50 pen and actually make it something pretty nice. So food for thought. That's all for now. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll make sure to link this in the description in case you're interested. Take care.